Hubert Davis is officially fired from North Carolina and the Tar Heels. Maybe surprising to some, not to others, but here's somebody from North Carolina, a lifelong Carolina follower and fan here. I want to break down this firing, what some of my thoughts are, what the next steps are for North Carolina, and why this is so significant. So, there have been players reacting, all kinds of news shaking this one up. But after Hubert Davis's fifth season, this is his fifth season, he is officially out. His first season was 2021, at taking over a Roy Williams team and taking them to the national championship. And since that moment, that was the bright spot of his career, winning that Final Four game against Duke. Certainly a very good coach and an even better person. Hubert is a great guy, a great leader, and somebody that came through the Carolina organization, was a player, was one of Roy's top assistants. It was just great continuity, and it made it made a lot of sense at the time, and it was the right decision. But Carolina just blew a 19-point lead, and 5 consecutive seasons of 20 wins, but not a lot of March Madness success. So, disappointing run from Davis through the last couple seasons, especially. The recruiting, the talent has been there, but they haven't been able to put it together for March Madness. And unfortunately, at a big-time program like Carolina, that is all you're going to be judged on. It's all about March Madness, and Carolina is probably a top 5 job in basketball. So when you've got things rolling, it is a great place to be. And we've actually even seen Hubert win some huge, huge games. We saw him beat Duke in, of course, the Final Four. They beat him another time earlier that season at home, and he's been okay against Duke. I think he won 1 or 2 more Duke games, and then this season, the Seth Trimble buzzer beater also helped Carolina vault themselves over Duke. Are they better than Duke? No, but being able to beat your rival on occasion at a program like North Carolina with one of the fiercest rivalries in college sports, we see a lot of doubt and a lot of question marks around coaches that can't beat their rival. If you are at a Michigan or an Ohio State, an Alabama, Auburn, if you don't give your rival a run for your money, you're not going to stay long at all. So Hubert's only lasted 5 years because of his ability to beat Duke. If that wasn't there, I think he's gone before this. But of course, his highlight was in his first season during this national championship game, but he has not been able to move past the second weekend in the next 4 years. They've suffered back-to-back first-round exits. Of course, last year's team, maybe not as talented as this team, but I was a fan of this team, and I thought they had a high ceiling. Without Caleb Wilson, they were not going to get it done. And I think if they had beaten VCU, if the season had maybe ended on a better note, even without Wilson, you could have seen a future with Davis. But, man, to blow a 19-point lead to a mid-major in a tournament game is not the way to keep your job. And Davis, of course, talked all about Davis was a big fan, of course, of Wilson, brought him in, talked about what a great player, what a great energy guy he is, and, of course, Wilson defending him till the end, one of the best men and coaches in his life. And, yeah, just a lot of players commenting on this. But here's why I want to talk about it a little bit bigger. What does this do in the rest of college basketball? We've seen all kinds of names get thrown out since then on who is going to pick up this job. This is a job that could really shake up multiple conferences. It could shake up some NBA situations. And as this headline reads, or this byline from the Fayetteville Observer, this will be the first time in 74 years that UNC basketball will likely not have a coach with a connection to the Carolina family. Now, of course, they could promote an assistant to keep some of the guys like Marcus Page, Carolina legends, on the staff. I'm always a fan of promoting from within, but you just did that with Davis, and he was about the most qualified possible guy to promote from within, and he still wasn't really, really able to get it done. So let's get that better in frame so you can see all of that. And Yeah, I mean, you go back, Frank McGuire led North Carolina to the national championship in 57, and then Dean Smith took over an assistant under McGuire. Guthrie took over after Smith. Matt Doherty, Roy Williams winning a pair of national championships, and then Hubert Davis, handpicked by Roy Williams, of course, coming out of the Carolina program as well. And there's some huge names that can pick up this job. This Tar Heels team, people don't think about how good it is because it's not maybe the biggest college brand, but in terms of basketball, in terms of history, in terms of NIL funding, North Carolina has a lot of money. And I think it's a top 5 job. 2,419 wins, over 100 seasons. Kansas and Kentucky are the two programs exclusively with more wins than Carolina, and 6 NCAA titles, the most tournament wins in 21 Final Four appearances. It's a top 5 job. And let's look at some of these coaches that they're throwing out here. I saw some lists yesterday. It seems that things are evolving. And yeah, here are 10 possible options from other schools. Let's see what they've got on this list here. Mark Bieniemy from Vanderbilt. So he has gotten 25 wins across his last 4 seasons, 27 victories in the second year of Vanderbilt here. I don't see it. He's not flashy enough for Carolina. If you're bringing in somebody specifically from the outside, you're going to bring in somebody proven in college basketball, somebody proven that's made a Final Four at least, that's made a run or two. The biggest question with Davis is his ability to make runs, and there's just not enough for Mark here from Vanderbilt. He hasn't done enough to be warranted for this job maybe. Billy Donovan. This is an interesting one. And you think of Billy Donovan, okay, he's the Chicago Bulls head coach, but he was a great college coach for the Gators. And 16 seasons with 20 wins. And, of course, he had ties to the NBA. He went there, but he did win back-to-back national championships in college at Florida. He has a winning pedigree, and Carolina has been known to bring back guys maybe at the latter stages of their coaching prime, quote-unquote, that end up doing really well. Look at Roy Williams. That's an interesting name. Mark Few. I don't see this one just for age for Few. And, of course, Gonzaga, there's a whole reshaping right now of the WCC, of what Gonzaga basketball looks like, and Few hasn't really been able to win deep in the tournament. This could be one where maybe he's interested, but I'm not sure that he would want to leave Spokane this late in his career. He's never coached outside of Spokane at like a big-time program such as Carolina, and I don't know how much more you've got out of him. Do you get 5 good seasons out of Few? Is that enough for North Carolina? I'm not really sure. Todd Golden is a name. The Florida coach. Florida just got bounced out of the tournament. This is the most likely name I think we've seen so far. And again, Florida's gotten bounced. They won a national championship, but this Florida team didn't have a top 100 recruiting class. They haven't maybe been able to get some of the talent acquisition, elite quote-unquote talent acquisition that some of the ACC programs can bring in, some of the best SEC with bigger NIL. Maybe Florida can get more NIL money, but man, if you're Todd Golden and you get to upgrade from going to Florida, winning a national championship, and going to North Carolina where you get better job security, bigger contract, all of the advantages, it certainly would seem pretty enticing. Now, there's a big-time buyout, but if it could happen, they would find a way to make the money work. Would he leave the comfort? Who knows? There has been a little bit more pressure. There's just been a little bit more floating around about Florida this season than you might have expected after just how well last season went. Tommy Lloyd from Arizona is another name. Also probably a home run hire. I'm a big fan of Lloyd. Of course, I picked Arizona to win my bracket, and he's 53. He's won 80% of his games in 5 seasons at Arizona. He hasn't been able to take a team really deep on runs, but he's been one of the best leaders, program builders, and also he's been a really strong recruiter the last few seasons. Now he's a West Coast guy, Does he want to move to North Carolina, one of the best states in the union, as we all know? Who knows? But would you want to leave Tucson? It's a valid question. Who's to say whether or not he would? But it's also a name that you throw out. You throw out an offer to and just try to talk to him a little bit more. Mike Malone, the 54-year-old head coach that fired from the Nuggets last season over disputes with the management. And he also has a daughter that plays at UNC. I actually didn't know that. I know he's been a little bit around Tar Heels basketball, but I wasn't exactly sure why. Of course, he won that title in 2023. A great coach. I was hoping the Pelicans would swoop him up. We're probably stuck with the mediocrity of James Borrego. But, man, it'd be very fun getting Mike Malone in there. He's a guy you consider, again, a great motivator, and he's going to bring a different level of a pro-style offense, advanced. I mean, he's a guy that works very well with players, and I can see him being a coach that could get guys to stick around for 4 years. Dusty May from Michigan. He led Florida Atlantic to the Final Four and has been steadily climbing the ranks with Michigan. I don't see him leaving this soon. I also don't see him getting a Carolina offer this soon. I think he's just a guy that's not necessarily established enough, quote unquote. We'll see. Ben McCollum is another guy that I thought a lot about from Iowa. This guy's very young, and he's been an incredible defensive coach. And, yeah, he maybe is not quite – sorry, not Iowa State. I was thinking of Olsberger from Iowa State. I really liked him on the defensive side. McCollum, again, he just was at Drake last season. I don't see it. I don't see it just yet. Olsberger's another guy. But then Nate Oates is a big name I wanted to talk a minute about. Nate Oates from Alabama. He's 51, but he, of course, worked his way up from Buffalo, got to Alabama. He's had a lot of success. He's been to the Final Four. When you're looking at Carolina guys, you want a championship-winning pedigree. It's going to be somebody that's at least made a Final Four, won a championship in the NBA, or had success in the past. I think Carolina goes with somebody more secure, just like that. From some of the pulse I'm getting around that Carolina, just what's coming out of Chapel Hill. Of course, the Tide has had Carolina's number as well, taking them down in the 2024 Final Four. And, yeah, I think his offensive prowess, the way he can motivate a team, he's a great recruiter. 5 Sweet 16 appearances in the last 6 seasons. Even this year with their second-best player going down for marijuana possession, he's got them back in the Sweet 16 against Michigan. This is when Nate Oates he's got a unique style. It would certainly stand out in the ACC, but man, would it be fun. I'm a big fan of that one. We talked about Olsberger, and another name that I saw, we'll just keep it down here for a second, but another name that I saw was Brad Stevens. I don't know what people are speculating about. Is there any way that Brad Stevens would leave the front office management for the Celtics? Probably not. I mean, there's just he left coaching to be in the front office, and he's been a great front office leader for them. So I'm not sure that I see it, but wanted to address this one from Carolina. Man, I love Carolina sports. If you guys want to just talk more about Carolina sports and all the above, we can do that in the future. And I'm interested to follow this story, follow what's happening with Carolina, and see how they rebuild. Of course, they're going to be losing Wilson. I'm sure Trimble and others will hit the portal. I think Trimble might be a fourth-year senior, but he might get a graduate year. We'll see. There's some other good names, of course. Derek Dixon, a good freshman for them as well. It might be a lot of shaking up, but if you get a big coach, they can bring their players over as well. So we'll have to keep tracking this story, and I'll see you guys soon.